Welcome to this sweet little practice to free open your lower back. Sit in any way that's comfortable for you and take a deep breath with me. Now, as you next inhale, squeeze your shoulders up to your ears, and as you exhale, relax your shoulders down. Do that a couple more times. Draw all the tension up, up, up. Exhale the shoulders back and down. Now go in the other direction. Shoulders go back, up, forward, and down. Let your head circle in one direction really slowly to check in with the neck today. And now circle your head in the other direction. Go really slow. Be aware of your breath. And eventually you'll meet me with your right ear dropped over towards the right shoulder. Lift your chest and breathe into the left side of your neck. And you could reach your left arm out to the left fingertips just hovering off the ground. Look down towards your right thigh, tuck your chin down a touch, and breathe into the back of your neck here. And lift your chin a touch. Roll your chin down to your chest and go over to the other side so that your left ear hinges over to your left shoulder, and maybe walk your right fingertips over out of your right hip. Feel nice tractioning out the whole right side of your neck, and eventually turn your chin down towards your left armpit. Deep breath. And then tip your head back slightly. Another big breath into the right side of your neck. Bring your head upright through center. Notice your neck. Notice your breath. And you might want to adjust your position. I will, and it's especially nice to have the inner thighs and the knees together when our low backs are feeling extra sensitive. And then eventually you can lace your fingers, flip your palms forward, reach your arms up. And as you exhale, take your arms behind you and interlace your fingers behind your low back. Again, inhale your arms forward and up. And as you breathe out, release your arms down behind you and clasp your hands, your palms facing in. Moving with breath. Inhale, arms forward and way up. As you exhale, your arms come behind you. Clasp your palms together. Shoulder blades squeeze onto the back. Do that again. Make the movement last the duration of your breath. Make your way onto hands and knees, onto all fours, with your hands shoulder width apart. And now pick a spot to look at, kind of between your hands, and just moving through the low back. Tuck your tailbone in, just isolating the pelvis first. And as you inhale, tilt your sit bones up. Keep gazing between your hands. Exhale, tuck your tailbone. Again, inhale, send your sitting bones up. Exhale, tuck in. You can keep doing that, or now full cat-cows. Lift your heart as you inhale. On the exhale, duck your chin into your chest as your tailbone tucks. Inhale, soften your belly down, open your chest. And on the exhale, round in, draw your navel up into your body. Flow a couple more times. Do a lot of therapeutic movements to help free the spine and the low back today. You always go at the pace that's right for you and always choose the options that are right for you. Coming to a neutral spine, I'll get you to walk your hands over to the left so your hands are still shoulder width, but you're off center a little through the hands, and do those same cat-cows here, arcing and rounding in. You might feel a little more through the right side. Just be mindful of that. Be gentle with your body and your breath. You'll walk your hands through center and off to the right. Right hand is pretty far off the right side of your mat. Cat-cowing through the spine. Notice just how deep you can make every breath. Finishing up here. Walk your hands back through center for child's pose. Try your knees about shoulder width apart, not too wide, and your arms outstretched in front. Send every inhale into the low back as though you could broaden across the low back, and every exhale to let your whole body ground down. Let go. And if you find that you want to stay here in child's pose longer, do that. Come to child's pose at any point during the class. For a little bit more in your lats and in the sides of your waist, prayer your hands and begin to bend at your arms so your prayer comes to the back of the neck, and straightening your arms so your pinky fingers come back down onto the mat a couple times, just bending your arms, maybe for an extra breath here. And maybe returning your arms towards straight prayer hands for an extra breath. If you're going to keep moving with me, we'll make our way up into downward facing dog. Have your feet hip width apart. Nice little bend in your knees. And now with your feet on the ground, just start to straighten your right leg a little more. Keep a deep bend in the left knee. And if you can get your right heel lower towards the earth, you'll feel a nice release in your right Achilles and your right calf. After another breath, switch sides so that your left leg is straighter. Good bend in the right knee. Take your time here. Really pressurize your hands and all your fingers down into the mat, and just switch sides again through the feet. A couple extra breaths. And then switch. Slowly walk your feet up to the front of your mat, and we'll start in a really nice kind of variation of a fold for those with low back sensitivities today. Good bend in your knees, elbows rest up on your thighs. Or perhaps bow a little lower, fingertips on the ground. Keep a nice bend in your knees so that your front ribs literally sandwich into your thighs. And keep that closeness of your belly onto your thighs with bent knees. Feel your upper body drape down, and a little lift in your belly. Envision yourself releasing whatever it is you need to release right now. Deep breath. Tent your fingertips on your mat and step your left foot all the way back. Nice big step. And lower your left knee down. Just be sure that your right knee is under your right ankle. You may need to walk your right foot forward more or walk your left knee back a little more. And if you do happen to have props, you could put a block underneath each hand or tent your fingertips. A little sway of your hips side to side for a couple breaths. Moving towards a half splits, straightening your right leg. Dig your right heel into the earth as your right foot flexes up off the ground. And as you next inhale, rebend your right knee, chest forward. As you exhale, straightening your right leg, your hips pull back and up, just on your front heel. When you inhale, flatten your front foot, bend your knee, chest up. Just kind of flossing open the hips, back into the half splits, straightening your right leg. And just holding here now in this half splits a little longer, lengthen your stance. So either walk your front heel forward or your back knee back. And with as much length in your spine as you can, lengthen your neck, broaden your chest and bow over your front leg. Transition back into a lunge with your fingertips tented on the floor or on those blocks, and have your back leg straight. As you inhale, round your upper back. And as you exhale, broaden your chest forward. Again, inhale, round your upper back. Pull your belly up off your front thigh. Exhale, chest forward. Do that again. We're not really moving anything except we're rounding and puffing up the upper back. And then as you exhale, chest forward. One more time. Inhale, round in. Exhale, lengthen. Straighten your right leg and wiggle your right foot over to the left side of your mat. So we're crisscrossing the feet. So front foot over to the left side of the mat. Back foot can crisscross over to the right side of the mat. Walk your hands over to the right. And as you get your front leg as straight as you can, I know this one is iffy, but it's so good to get into the outer hips to relieve low back pain or sensitivities. Let yourself bow a little more over to the right. Another big breath. Breathe down the whole outer right leg. And walk your hands back to center, but just slip your back foot behind your front foot so that your pinky toes are touching. So again, left leg is slipped behind the right leg, pinky toes touch. And your hands can walk over to the right again. And now we're breathing for the outer left leg and the outer left hamstrings. Soften any tension in your jaw. And slowly crawl your hands back to center and simply uncross your feet at the front of your mat. Have your feet hip width apart. Nice bend in the knees. Just wrap your forearms behind your calves. Let your head dangle down. And you might press your forearms into your calves and press your calves back into your forearms and maybe fold a little lower. You can remain as you are or walk your fingertips a little further out in front of you. Weight back in your heels. Extend out through the sides of your waist. And I'll get you to meet me with your right foot all the way back now and land your right kneecap down on your mat. Your fingertips will be tented just for more space. Option for blocks under your hands for even more space. And let your hips sway side to side. Take a second here to adjust and land. Notice how this feels. And we'll do those little pulses back to the half splits as you exhale. Pop up on your front heel. And as you inhale, land your foot and lift your heart up. Bend your knee. Exhale, shift your hips back, a little fold of your spine down your left leg. And then inhale to shift forward and bend your knee. Your breath pace might be different than I'm guiding you, and that's great. Please listen to what your body needs today. And eventually we will hold this half splits. Lengthen your stance a little. Just shimmy your front heel forward. Toes flex back towards your face. Stick your sitting bones back and up behind you to find more length through your spine as you bow. And return to this kind of runner's lunge here with your back leg strong and straight like a plank leg and a nice bend in the front knee. And nothing really will move. We're just going to isolate the upper spine with breath. Inhale, tuck your chin in, puff up your upper back. Exhale, open your chest. Do that again. Inhale, round, look towards your navel. Exhale and lengthen. A couple more with your breath. And now extend your left leg to straight and wiggle your left foot all the way over to the right edge of your mat and wiggle your right foot a little more to the left side of your mat behind you. And you can step your left foot. You can step your back foot a little bit closer in as well. Hands walk over to the left. Extend your left leg as straight as you possibly can so your upper inner thighs are close together, and turn your right hip more forward. Let your torso bow a little more to the left. Big breath. We will now bring the hands to center just so that we can walk and slide the right leg behind the front leg. So right leg behind left leg, pinky toes touch. Hands walk to the left again. Sway your hips to the right. For any of us out there that are runners or joggers, or we do any kind of jumping, or if we're just human beings that walk and sit, this one's really good to get into all those little nooks and crannies in the hips. We'll meet in that fold. Make your feet come back to parallel and hip width apart. Good bend in your knees, remember. I'm going to interlace my hands behind my low back, but if a different arm variation serves you better, then please choose that. Remembering a little more weight towards the balls of the feet and maybe the sitting bones higher up as the sides of your waist cascade down. Land your fingers on the mat if they're not already there, and step your left foot back and your right foot back and lower your knees so you're in tabletop. From tabletop, take your right shin forward for a pigeon pose. Now, what I recommend is bringing your right knee a little narrower. So don't go front leg as wide as this edge of your mat. Go a little narrower, and then look over your left shoulder and get your back leg a little bit narrower. And your front heel might be close to your groin, or your front foot might be a bit further forward. Either is great, just so long as there's no knee pain. After you've stayed up for a breath, maybe come down onto your forearms. Slightly sway your hips left to right until you find the position that has more sensation, and stay wherever that is. Now walk your forearms over to the left a couple inches as though you're bowing yourself more over your front foot, lining up your belly button over top of your front foot. Just see how that changes the stretch here and where you're feeling it in your hips. Forearms walk through center and over to the right now. Bowing over your front knee. And you might even be able to use some of the weight of your upper body literally on top of your thigh to weight it down. Feel your back leg hip melt forward and down. Big breath. Come through center, ease up onto your hands, and make your way to all fours, tabletop. And then from this tabletop position, we'll take a few cat-cows. I'm going to invite you to actually spin your hands out and all the way back so your fingers are facing back to your knees. And as you cat-cow, you've invited in a sweet little wrist release as well. If you are in the wrist release with me as we take these cat-cows, feel all your 10 fingers really grip and claw into your mat. And feel that lovely breath flow in and out. Setting up for pigeon on the other side, unspin your hands, take your left shin forward. Just be sure your left knee is a little bit narrower, maybe an inch narrower than normal. Than you usually would, and have your back leg a little bit more to the midline. Stay up for an extra breath. And then maybe explore coming lower onto your elbows, your forearms. Take the length of your spine directly over the center of your shin. Tip your hips left to right. No rush. Find that sweet spot, breathe into it, set it free with breath. And slowly walk your forearms over to the right. Bow yourself over your left foot. You might have only walked over a couple inches or maybe a little bit more. It's just interesting to try non-linear movements, maybe something out of our routine to access maybe something different. Can you give it breath? And then slowly walking through the center and now over to the other side, over your front knee. Encourage your right hip forward. Make your breath long. Make your breath feel really good. And then coming back through center. Lift up and swing your back leg around in front so you're just sitting on your bum with your feet flat on the floor and your legs bent. Wrap your forearms around your shins. This is a seated child's pose. So bracing yourself with your forearms onto the shins, round your upper back, tuck your chin in, pull your belly button in off your thighs. Try to amplify the rounding in your back a little more. And then after another breath, you can rise up, make your way down onto your back. Have your feet flat on your mat with bent legs. Take a deep breath here. Draw your right knee into your chest. Interlace your fingers around your right shin and hug your right knee in. I've extended my left leg down onto the ground, but you could always keep your left foot flat on the ground as well. Wake up your toes, keep your ankles strong. And now guide your right knee a couple inches to the left, like you're trying to draw your knee more in towards the center of your chest. After a breath, take your knee a little wider towards your right armpit for an extra breath while pressing your left bum down and your left shoulder blade down. Extend your right leg straight up into the air now and interlace your fingers behind your right hamstrings. Zip your belly button in and down. Take a few rounds of pointing your right tippy toes up, up, up to the ceiling, and then kicking your heel way up to the ceiling as your toenails pull towards your shin. Just a couple times, pointing up, 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 and flexing your foot. And now just take your top leg a little across the midline. So right leg a little more over to the left. Use your right thumb in your right hip crease and externally rotate your right thigh bone. And take both legs down onto the ground and walk your feet over to the left side of your mat for reclined half moon. And walk your hands over to the left behind you as well. Option to cross your right ankle on top of your left ankle. Breathe open your whole right side. Good. One more big breath. Just go really slowly to come out of this pose. You may have moved your hips over to the right a bit, so bring your hips back through the center, bend your legs, and plant your feet flat on the ground. From here, draw your left knee in, interlock your fingers around your left shin. Big breath. Splay your toes apart, shoulder blades down. Guide your left knee over to the center of your chest. Just see how that changes the stretch around your left hip and the front of the right hip. And go a little wider with your left knee way out to the left. Be sure to broaden your chest. Relax any jaw tension. And extend your left leg straight up into the sky. And interlace your 10 fingers behind your left hamstrings now. Gather your upper inner thighs a smidge closer together. And do that sweet work of pointing your left toes up and then kicking the heel up. We'll just, again, playing around with different movements so that we get into different parts of the leg here. The shin bone muscles and the Achilles and calf muscles. And guide your top leg over towards the right a couple more inches, a little more sweetness for your outer hamstrings. And as you release the grip and extend both legs down onto the ground, right away walk your feet over to the right side of your mat and walk your hands over to the right side of your mat with your arms behind you for reclined half moon. Option to walk your hips a little more to the left and maybe cross left ankle on top of right ankle. Maybe grab around your left wrist. Breathe open all the muscles between your left ribs. Gently transitioning out of this pose, adjust your hips into the middle. And cross your right ankle over your left thigh for thread the needle. Interlace your hands behind your left hamstrings. Keep your feet flexed, sending the right knee away from the right shoulder. So you're welcome to stay like this and thread the needle, or for something a little sweeter, I'll say, lift your head up and literally cross your right thigh in front of, over your left thigh, and have your feet separated wide apart and hands clasped under the heels for reclined cow face. As much as your hands try to pull your wide feet towards you, send your knees away from your chest and your tailbone down into the ground. Notice where your thoughts go and breathe for that hip. Before we switch sides, take a deep breath with both feet flat on the ground, knees knocking towards each other. And eventually thread the needle on the left side, left ankle over right thigh. And again, staying in thread the needle might be perfect for you, or if you'd like this reclined cow face, you could lift your head up and just close that gap in your thighs so that you slide your left thigh over top of your right thigh. And your hands reach for your opposite feet. Feet really active, strong in your ankle joints. Arms need to work a lot in this pose and in thread the needle, but more so in reclined Gomukhasana, to pull your feet towards you. Work your knees away from you. Feel that lovely breath. Good, so nice. There is no hurry to come out. When you do come out, have your feet flat on the ground and make sure you walk your feet mats distance apart here and your bent knees touching in towards each other. It's a great way to broaden and spread open the low back. And from there, knees roll over to the right. Your shins will still be spaced apart. You can maybe, if there's no knee pain, take your right ankle on top of your outer left knee. Press your inner left knee down and away from your hips and breathe open the whole front left side of your body. A lot of low back sensitivity comes from tightness in the outer hips, and the fronts of the thighs, hamstrings. So we've really done a lot to try to wake up all the outer hips and hamstring areas today and find some relief. As you're ready, we're going to roll the knees over to the other side, so coming through center into the left, and maybe left ankle climbs on top of your outer right knee. To finish our practice, you could take a Shavasana with your legs straight on the floor, but I'm working today with optimal space in the low back, so how I am is feet mat width apart and bent legs, bent knees falling in, maybe hands on low belly. Breathe into your hands. When we relax tension in the low abdomen, we release gripping that follows through into the low back as well, and all around the digestive organs. Just take a few more deep breaths into your hands. If they're on your belly, breathe into the warmth of your hands, ballooning your belly open. Mindfully relax tension in your stomach. And you can continue with that for as long as you like. Another variation of a child's pose on our back here. Hug your knees in, keep your knees quite wide, and hook your forearms behind your knee pits with your knees wide. Clasp your fingers if you can. Rock side to side on your low back. Don't rush through this one. So nice. Massaging. Yeah. You can stay on your back as long as you like. If you're going to return to your day with me, slowly roll over to one side and press up to sit in any way that's comfortable for you. As you sit nice and tall, take a couple deep breaths and notice how you feel. along the entire length of your spine and your hips. What are the sensations there? Can you imagine the energy of a smile washing through your body? Maybe a hand on your heart as your body thanks you. Thank your body. What a gift. Namaste.